For today's cup of coffee, we're going to be talking about ghosts. We talked yesterday about haunted houses, so I probably should have reversed that. I should have talked about ghosts first and then haunted houses. That's not always how the brain works.
Hindsight is always 20/20.
Yeah, well, maybe that's what ghosts are trying to do. Anyhow, this is going to be taken from Wikipedia, and it had some pretty good information on it. I'm not going to go through everything that it had on there. Youngest kid is highly thrilled about that.
It's 78 pages.
It's not 78 pages.
You're right, it's 150.
APA format, double space.
Oh, God.
Single space, actually. Anyhow, and everybody has their own idea of what a ghost is. And there are definitions that come within families, within belief systems, within countries, all these different things. Mm-hmm. So just because somebody puts something on Wikipedia and I read it or whatever, that's not the end all of it. This is why we encourage people to contact us and share their knowledge.
Right.
Because that gives us all a greater understanding of what's going on. Mm. Okay, in folklore, a ghost is the soul or spirit of a dead person or animal that can appear to the living. And in ghost lore, descriptions of ghosts vary widely from an invisible presence to translucent or barely visible wispy shapes to realistic, lifelike forms.
Will-o-wisp. Will-o-wisp.
The deliberate attempt to contact the spirit of a deceased person is known as necromancy, or in spiritism as a seance. Other terms associated with it are apparition, haunt, phantom, poltergeist, shade, specter, spirit, spook, wraith, demon, and ghoul.
Ookie spooky ghost.
Now, within that, I'm going to... Demon is a different thing, and so is a ghoul. Those are in different categories than ghost. What was it?
Ookie spooky ghost. It's a spook.
Well, the belief in the existence of an afterlife as well as manifestations of the spirits of the dead is widespread, dating back to animism or ancestor worship in pre-literate cultures. I didn't really like that pre-literate because I think it's got a bad connotation. It almost seems like these people were stupid. So... Wow. You know, and these whoever's writing this, whoever's writing this may have viewed these people as stupid.
That's true.
Which
is quite rude.
It is. It's like, anyhow, certain religious practices, funeral rites, exorcisms, and some practices of spiritualism and ritual magic are specifically designed to rest the spirits of the dead. Ghosts are generally described as solitary, human-like essences, though stories of ghostly armies and of the ghost of animals rather than humans have also been recounted. They are believed to haunt particular locations, objects, or people they were associated with in life. According to a 2009 study by the Pew Research Center, 18% of Americans say they have seen a ghost. The overwhelming consensus of science is that there is no proof that ghosts exist.
Well, I disagree.
I've become bitter on a lot of these things, but that's okay. Their existence is impossible to falsify, and the ghost hunting has been classified as pseudoscience.
Impossible to falsify.
That's what I thought.
So then it is plausible.
Absolutely. So
then it is provable. It is then provable.
Well, it's
plausible.
If you can't prove something,
so then you cannot
does not exist.
So then you cannot scientifically say that it does not exist if it is plausible to get the data from ghost hunting. So then it is a scientific practice of spiritual studies.
I'm saving my rant for when we get to the part about Nichols and Radford again. Despite centuries of investigation, there is no scientific evidence that any location is inhabited by spirits of the dead.
You just contradicted yourself multiple times in a few sentences, my dude.
Historically, certain toxic and psychoactive plants have been long associated with necromancy and the underworld. Now, we know that we have heard people that have done ayahuasca, and they talk about it being a very spiritual experience.
That's a white people drug.
Well, it's one of those that you don't do that without. It's Peru. You don't do that without a shaman being there. And the purpose of the shaman, this is from people that I know of. Somebody, I have not talked to him specifically about his experience with ayahuasca.
I'm intrigued.
But the point of the shaman is to beat back any kind of negative or bad or evil spirit.
I am intrigued by it. I wouldn't mind trying it.
I don't know that I would mind. I would have to be in the right mood to do that, but the profuse vomiting would, sort of be a deterrent on that.
I'm used to it.
Yeah, well, that's true. And then they're saying that there are certain anticholinergic compounds that are linked to dementia, as well as histological patterns of neurodegeneration. Now, I take issue with this because they're saying that in some ways that could be interpreted as saying that somebody who has had a ghost sighting or something has something wrong with them. And it talks here as far as Alzheimer's. Now, I think that one of the reasons that Alzheimer's patients, and because that we have personal experience with this, and some of the things that this individual saw, we don't know that she was not seeing this. We don't know that it was not that when people are close to death, and let's face it, people who have dementia, their days are numbered. We don't know that they are not seeing through the veil.
Right. We don't know that.
So, anyhow, the way this was written, I'm thinking, you're an ass. This was funny. It said common prescription medication and over-the-counter drugs such as sleep aids may also, in rare instances, cause ghost-like hallucinations.
Rare. Key word right there.
This is funny. Particularly Ambien. Now, I have heard some negative things about Ambien.
Yeah.
And Benadryl. That's diphenhydramine. And I'm thinking, have you ever seen a ghost when you've been taking Benadryl? Now, you've took a hell of a lot of Benadryl over the years.
I have taken a shit ton of Benadryl
because we have allergies.
My lifetime.
Have you ever seen a ghost after taking Benadryl?
Not at all, but as far as it giving me weird dreams of you.
Yeah, well, anything like that can give you,
But they weren't fucking ghosts.
No, it's an antihistamine.
Yeah, it's not a hallucinogen.
It's just like, older reports linked, of course, the carbon monoxide poisoning.
You dumb fuck. You don't know what you're speaking already. You just want to disprove something you don't believe in.
I didn't know it was going to trigger you as much as it triggered me.
Your bias is showing severely, my dude. When doing research, you have to go in there with an open mind and no bias whatsoever.
That's how science used to be done. That's not how science is done today. Anyhow, this
they're full of shit.
Well, this was interesting because the Old English word as far as human spirit and soul is synonym of Latin, which is spiritus, which also means breath or blast. And it can also denote any good or evil spirit, such as angels or demons. And the Anglo-Saxon gospel refers to the demonic possession of Matthew 12:43, as I'm not even going to try to pronounce that in the original language, but it means as an unclean ghost. It's written in Old English. Y'all can go and look that up yourself. The now prevailing sense of the soul of a deceased person spoken of as appearing in a visible form only emerges in Middle English there around the 14th century. And the modern noun does, however, retain a wider field of application extending on one hand to soul, spirit, vital principle, mind, or psyche, the seat of feeling, thought, and moral judgment. On the other hand, it's used figuratively as a shadowy outline, or fuzzy or unsubstantial image. In optics, photography, and cinematography especially, a flare, secondary image, or spurious signal. Ghost signals, and you all had like ghost pictures and stuff, and those can be really interesting. It doesn't mean it's actually paranormal, as is what they call it. I thought this was cool, and that the synonym of spook is a Dutch loanword. How cool is that?
I did not know that at all.
Well, see, now we're educational. Really cool. We're educational. Let's see. Alternative words for ghosts include spectre, the Scottish word wraith. There is phantom, which is it's a Greek. It's French actually, which was derived from the Greek phantasma.
Phasmophobia.
And
the fear of ghosts.
You really. The term shade is used in classical mythology, and that's in reference to the notion of spirits in the Greek underworld. Now, here we go in our section of the world. Haint. It's a haint. Is a synonym for ghosts, which is used in rural English and of the southern United States. The term poltergeist is a German word, literally a noisy ghost, and that's for a spirit said to manifest itself by invisibly moving and influencing objects. They throw stuff. They break stuff.
They do. They slam doors. They throw, like, cabinet doors open.
Yeah, that's a little more than just...
To let the air out of the fridge.
Moving and influencing objects. That could have been worded a little differently. Okay, a revenant is a deceased person returning from the dead to haunt the living, either as a disembodied ghost or alternatively as an animated undead corpse. Also related to the concept of a fetch, the visible ghost or spirit of a person yet alive today, such as the doppelganger. We talked about that. It's also a fetch.
Yeah. Okay,
it says a notion of the transient, supernatural, or numinous. I like that, numinous. Usually involving entities like ghosts, demons, or deities, is a cultural universal. That was a very strange. So that means that every culture has a belief in ghosts.
Yes.
Okay, so I thought that, and again with this pre-literate folk religions, this guy's an ass. Whoever wrote this is an ass. These beliefs are often summarized under animism, and again, animism is the belief that objects, places, and creatures all possess a distinct spiritual essence. Potentially, animism perceives all things, animals, plants, rocks, rivers, weather systems, human handiwork, and perhaps even words, as animated and alive. Well, yeah. It's all vibration and frequency. This isn't just a folk belief. This is physics.
Yeah.
Everything has vibration and frequency. So therefore, if it is moving, it's not just because life has different qualities to it.
If it is moving, it is living.
Well, everything is then, because atoms are not stationary. Not like that. They just move slower. That's why some things appear to be solid. So, but I'm sure that they consider quantum physics pseudoscience. And
who knows, at this point possibly.
Well, and also, of course, they're putting this in with ancestor worship. Some people believe the ghost or spirit never leaves the earth until there is no one left to remember the one who died. Okay, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of odd. In many cultures, malignant, restless ghosts are distinguished from the more benign spirits involved in ancestor worship. Ancestor worship typically involves rites intended to prevent revenants. In folklore, again, a revenant is an animated corpse that is believed to have revived from death to haunt the living. The word revenant is derived from the Old French word revenant, the returning. Vengeful spirits of the dead, imagined as starving and envious of the living. Strategies for preventing revenants may include sacrifice, such as giving the dead food and drink to pacify them, or magical banishment of the deceased to force them not to return. A ritual feeding of the dead is performed in traditions like Chinese Ghost Festival or the Western All Souls Day. Magical banishment of the dead is present in many of the world's burial customs. The bodies found in many tumuli, which are burial mounds, had been ritually bound before burial, and the custom of binding the dead persists, for example, in rural Anatolia. Now, you've got to realize, as far as a winding sheet, that very well could have been a form of binding.
It could be.
Hadn't thought about it. Now, with the scientific view, we've got physician John Ferrer, who wrote an essay towards a theory of apparitions in 1813, in which he argued that the sightings of ghosts were the result of optical illusions. Later, you had a French physician who in 1845 claimed that sightings of ghosts were the result of hallucinations. David Turner, a retired physical chemist, suggested that ball lightning could cause inanimate objects to move erratically. And here we go. Joe Nickel, the Committee of the Skeptical Inquiry, wrote that there was no credible scientific evidence that any location was inhabited by spirits of the dead. Because we went in depth with him and Benjamin Radford of the Committee of Skeptical Inquiry, who says ghost hunting is the world's most popular paranormal pursuit, yet to date ghost hunters can't agree on what a ghost is or offer proof that they exist. He says it's all speculation and guesswork, and that it would be useful and important to distinguish between types of spirits and apparitions. Until then, it is merely a parlor game distracting amateur ghost hunters from the task at hand, end quote. Okay, now, these two guys keep reappearing, and I think it's interesting. I don't know, maybe it's just that they're the sources that the wiki people have found easily. But you've got 2 or 3, or in this article, 4 people mentioned that are trying to dispute the accounts of every culture in the world and countless individuals who have had these experiences.
And how egotistical is that?
Absolutely. Now, to me, to sit there and go, oh, I know more than hundreds of thousands of people. My idea is correct. They're all wrong. That's called gaslighting.
Absolutely it is.
And so dude might want to check himself for, like, narcissism.
Mm-hmm.
That or some kind of a God complex. Because, and it's like, no, these people are just kind of ridiculous. Now, there's a lot in this article as far as different belief systems, and you can go and read those yourself because they are kind of lengthy. The ones that I wanted to sort of focus on were the ones that were not as common to me. I already know what I know. I want to learn something different.
Right.
And Nichols and Radford are not going to teach me anything. All right, in Buddhism, now I had read this at one point and it reminded me of it. There are a number of planes of existence that I knew into which a person can be reborn, one of which is the realm of hungry ghosts. Buddhists celebrate the Ghost Festival as an expression of compassion, one of Buddhist virtues. If the hungry ghosts are fed by non-relatives, they would not bother the community. Always be kind to strangers.
Yeah.
Now, in European folklore, belief in ghosts is characterized by the recurring fear of returning of the deceased who may harm the living. And, it's a matter of the supernatural nature is given away by behaviors rather than appearance, because in some of these encounters or accounts that they were first mistaken for people who were alive.
Yeah. And
the ghost may appear mute, and they may appear and disappear suddenly or leave no footprints or other traces.
Not all ghosts leave stuff behind.
No. And if you're wondering why Kid is over here snickering, we're having silent cat wars that are not always that silent.
the one like...
So, you know, I tried to get him to put all of them out before we started recording, but no, that was too simple. Okay, the belief in the soul and an afterlife remained near universal. This is key. Until the emergence of atheism in the 18th century. This was during the time that they were too enlightened to believe in God or anything involved with God. So now these are the ones that are like, oh, this is how it's really worked. We are the ones that after thousands of years, we've figured it out, and the rest of you all are stupid. In the 19th century, Spiritism resurrected the belief in ghosts as the object of systematic inquiry, and popular opinion in the Western culture remains divided. Well, part of the reason it remains divided is because you had these bunch of newcomer know-it-alls. So, now from Tibet, there is widespread belief in ghosts in the Tibetan culture. Mm-hmm. Ghosts are explicitly recognized in the Tibetan Buddhist religion as they were in Indian Buddhism, occupying a distinct but overlapping world to the human one, and featured in many traditional legends. When a human dies after a period of uncertainty, they may enter the ghost world. A hungry ghost has a tiny throat and a huge stomach, and so it can never be satisfied. Ghosts may be killed with a ritual dagger or caught in a spirit trap and burned, thus releasing them to be reborn. Ghosts may also be exorcised, and an annual festival is held throughout Tibet for this purpose.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And then from China...
That's really cool.
Yeah, and then from China, there are many references to ghosts in the Chinese culture. Even Confucius said, respect ghosts and gods, but keep away from them. Mm. Now, I wonder if Mr. Nichols thinks that he's wiser than Confucius.
Probably. He probably has his head so far up his ass he doesn't realize he's full of shit.
Yeah, really. Anyhow, the ghosts take many forms depending on how the person died, and are often harmful. Many Chinese ghost beliefs have been accepted by neighboring cultures, notably Japan and Southeast Asia. Ghost beliefs are closely associated with traditional Chinese religion based on ancestor worship, many of which were incorporated with Taoism. Later beliefs were influenced by Buddhism and in turn influenced and created uniquely Chinese Buddhist beliefs. And if you've never read any Taoism, I encourage anyone to read some of the Buddhist beliefs, some of the Taoist beliefs, because they're very simple. They make sense. They cut through the bullshit of Western civilization on a lot of stuff. So does Stoicism.
Well, I can safely assure you that I have not... I have not read a single thing from Taoism or Stoicism.
But I've tried to teach you. I really, really have. Yeah. We have the Tao of cats. That's not Tao. That is Western culture right there in our living room.
What happened was, one cat Milo got jealous of Squeaker and decided to smack him at first. And then Squeaker wanted onto the couch. And Milo is still upset with him, so he decided to smack him some more.
It's like kindergartners. Seriously, it's like we live with kindergartners every day.
Yes. I wish we got that on camera.
No. There's too many cat channels out there. Anyhow, we're trying to do something a little different. Anyhow, many Chinese today believe it possible to contact the spirits of their ancestors through a medium, and that ancestors can help descendants if properly respected and rewarded. Now, respect is a huge thing within the Eastern cultures. Mm-hmm. And I can understand that. The annual Ghost Festival is celebrated by Chinese around the world. On this day, ghosts and spirits, including those of the deceased ancestors, come out from the lower realm. Ghosts are described in classical Chinese text as well as modern literature and films. An article in the China Post stated that nearly 87% of Chinese office workers believe in ghosts, and some 52% of workers will wear hand art, necklaces, crosses, or even place a crystal ball on their desk to keep ghosts at bay, according to the poll.
I can look into your future.
That's the wrong kind of that.
Crystal ball?
Well, no, but as far as bells and stuff like that, and that is, again, frequencies, tones, the thing from Ghostbusters where he was screwing around with the piano keys.
Yeah.
That's not all wrong, because there are certain sounds and frequencies that are said to send negative spirits away. That's part of like feng shui. That is part of the Tibetan thing. We've got bells, I just have not hung them on the cord yet.
Isn't part of feng shui like you're not supposed to put the head of your bed under a window or something like that?
Well, I think I can see how a lot of that is, it has to do with
or have
the magnetic field. It may not be, specifically that's what they're saying that it is, but a lot of that has a bearing on it.
Or like never have a mirror pointing directly at your bed and something like that.
I don't know. I never did get into feng shui.
I'm intrigued by it, and I would like to learn it.
You can get books. You can get all kinds of books. There's a lot of people that do that.
Oh, fuck that. I ain't paying money. I'm going on YouTube and looking at it.
Oh, God. All right. Anyhow, then from Mexico, there is extensive and varied belief in ghosts in the Mexican culture. In the modern state of Mexico, before the Spanish conquest, was inhabited by diverse peoples such as the Maya and the Aztec. And their beliefs have survived and evolved, combined with the beliefs of the Spanish colonists. And the Day of the Dead, which is Dia de los Muertos, is November 1st and 2nd. And that incorporates pre-Columbian beliefs with Christian elements. Mexican literature and films include many stories of ghosts interacting with the living. Now, Dia de los Muertos, and they're combining that with Halloween because that it is so close. But they are two distinct, celebrations.
Yeah, they're in all honesty, they're not really similar other than,
No.
the dead.
Right. I mean, it's just a totally different thing as far as Halloween trying to ward off the evil and stuff like that. And Dia de los Muertos, it is a matter of honoring the ancestors, and it's much more celebratory.
Right. Exactly.
So, when people... That's the thing about marketing and capitalism on that. Consumerism. It's not capitalism, it's consumerism.
Capitalism.
Let's lump it all together. And it's
you off.
Really. And it's just like, and I think that both of the holidays sort of lose elements of themselves when they're lumping them together.
Oh, absolutely they do.
And then you've got, and this has been driving us nuts. I mean, since Hobby Lobby, since what was it, July?
Yeah.
Has been pushing the Christmas thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm so tired of them pushing Christmas, pushing and pushing and pushing. It's like people are getting pissed off more and more, and yet y'all are continuing to push it.
You want me to tell you why? Because it's a big money maker. That's why I don't participate in it.
Even though people are literally getting pissed off that it's bumping Halloween, like. Millions of people are pissed off and being like, stop this, and they still do it. That's going to kill them in the long run.
Well, and it's really sad. Well, no, what people will do is what they should have done all along was to keep these things in families and communities and stuff like that, and get the, commercialism out of it. Everything.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to kill the commercialism.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, perfect.
And it's just like where, those of us that are goth and where that's, there was like, what,
my spooky shit.
1 year that it was in favor and then it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we do our own thing. We've always done our own thing.
Yeah.
It was like they did their own thing for Halloween. They did it for Dia de los Muertos and all these other cultures.
Of course, goth was always... never a really popular thing. It was always underground.
We've always been underground.
Yeah. It was always an underground thing.
Dual meaning. Anyhow.
Yeah.
So, ghosts. Don't let somebody like Nichols and Radford say, just because you cannot put something in a test tube or on a slide under a microscope does not mean that it doesn't exist.
He suits his name.
Huh?
Nichols. Completely pointless.
Anyhow, he's just... I don't know. I think they're very arrogant people for them to sit there and discount, like I said, all these different cultures, countless people's personal experiences.
Well, that's their
and
opinion, so
a big,
if they want to make asses of themselves, go ahead.
Well, that's all right, because I'm pointing out their arrogance. It's just one little shit poster to the world, but hey, I'll stand up against them.
Yeah.
They don't know they've not lived my life. Any of these other people that have submitted their stories to us and stuff, they haven't lived their lives. Yep. And you're not going to sit there and gaslight somebody to sit there and go, oh, well, you've got whatever going on in your house, or you've got carbon monoxide, or this was this, or this was that. No. When somebody has had a supernatural experience, they know damn well what they've seen and what they've experienced.
Well, we most certainly do not have carbon monoxide in our house.
No. How do you know? We have the doors
open. Are we hallucinating?
I never know. Like we were talking yesterday about the existential crisis. I question my reality and sanity on a daily basis.
That's because people are stupid.
Well, it's because we are in a time where people are just malicious. We have got these psyops going on. We do have gaslighting, which is designed to break brains.
I feel like I'm taking fucking crazy pills.
Well, and that's the whole point of it. And then it's like you think that you're, feel like you're taking crazy pills. What do? You go to a doctor, and then you get real crazy pills. And people don't understand where some psychiatric medications can be extremely beneficial. People have no clue about the side effects of some of this stuff, and for some people they can go into a psychotic episode, not because they're crazy, but because of the medications.
I don't know. I think my medications are pretty fine.
But, seriously, just because a doctor writes you a prescription for something, you don't know for sure what that's going to do for you individually. That's why you have to take personal responsibility, even as far as noticing your own behavioral changes, different types of symptoms like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. I think my crazy pills have actually been working for me pretty damn well.
Well, on a lot of this stuff, and they were talking about the sleep things, historically, you can do things like chamomile tea if you're having nightmares, catnip tea. There's lots of different homeopathics that you can use. Just soothing things. Take a hot bath. Make sure that your room is not too hot.
Take a good bubble bath.
Yeah, that'll help.
A good warm bubble bath.
But as far
not
as
too hot, the one that my room is always hot, especially since I live in a loft bed and heat rises. Like I'm ripping the covers off every morning. I'm like,
yes, but usually you're bitching at night that it's too cold.
I got cold.
Well,
when my nose is freezing.
You're gonna have to make up your mind on some of that stuff. Anyhow, do not let somebody else tell you that you did not experience what you experienced. And because I grew up with that, yes, it's very, get very hostile towards people who do that.
Because it's personal.
That it is personal. And to these other people, like I said, that have had experiences, that have shared those with us, it's personal to them too.
Absolutely.
And I don't care, even as far as we've had people, share with us when they had taken DMT or different things like that. Mm-hmm. And that is a valid experience because it can be life-changing. So if you've had experiences with paranormal, supernatural, encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, whatever type of experience you've had with or without substances, email cup of coffee. There's a reason. We've got a distraction in the highway.
cupofcoffeewithscream at gmail.com.
Yes. And we're not going to make fun of you.
No, we're
not going to gaslight you.
No.
And so before that the cat does something really, really disgusting, we're going to tell you to have a beautiful...
It sounds like he's hoiking up a hairball.
They don't need... Leave something to the imagination, honey.
We don't know what he's doing. He could be having a heart attack right now and coughing.
It's not a heart attack. Anyhow, you are loved. Thank you for sharing your morning with us, evening with us, a cup of coffee with us. I like to leave you on some kind of a pleasant something. Gen Z does not. They just... Yeah.
I mean, we're fucked. It's like we're so optimistic, yet we're the exact opposite.
Y'all ain't optimistic. Y'all batshit crazy.
We are.
So that's it.
I'm mentally ill.
That's not even, and we're not making fun of as far as mental illness
because I am mentally ill.
Everybody's got their something.
I'm diagnosed.
And so, since I was a mental health counselor, I would not do that to anybody.
Listen, I gotta make fun of my own mental illnesses, okay?
It's a matter of overcoming it. Recognize that it does not have to be a handicap. It does not have to be a disability.
Well,
it can be an advantage.
Making fun of it helps me. Making fun of it helps me.
Well, anyhow. So, you all have a beautiful, blessed day. And we'll see you on the next cup. The next cup is going to be dedicated to Bradford and Nichols.
Party. Okay.
Yeah. So, talk to you later. Bye.
Subscribe. Ooh.